Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're doing my third year of off-season previews and predictions. If you guys haven't seen these before, we'll be talking about the San Antonio Spurs. As the draft lottery has not been done, what we do here is we know the Spurs are probably going to have a top 3 pick. That's almost a given. We'll also talk about their free agents, who they could target in free agency, who they could target in the draft, depending on their pick, and what we expect the roster to shape up this offseason. So when I get into this video, I want to hear your thoughts down below. What are your expectations for the San Antonio Spurs this offseason? So let's get right into it. Obviously, they have 3 guys to choose from. Depending on where they land, 1, 2, or 3, they're either going to get Victor Wembanyama, which I've said this current roster, if they get Victor Wembanyama, they're a play-in team. I don't care what you say. Victor Wembanyama with Jeremy Sohan, Keldon Johnson, and Devin Vassell is absurd. I think Scoot Henderson would be another great addition. Same thing with Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller would make things interesting because Brandon would either slide Jeremy Sohan to the center position, or Brandon Miller would be slid small forward, which would move Keldon Johnson either power forward or shooting guard. It'd be really weird. I think Brandon Miller, out of all of them, would just kind of complicate how the rotation would look. But Scoot would be their future point guard. Victor Wembanyama, we all know there. And then Brandon Miller, even good, too. But right here, their free agents for this season are going to be Trey Jones. You know, technically, they have other guys who would also be there. But Trey Jones is there, and Inquieta, Bates, Diop are there, too. I expect Trey Jones to be brought back on some sort of, 3-year deal. Maybe, 3 years, $30 million, something like that. And then Don Barlow is also gonna have a qualifying offer. So is Romeo Langford, and they also have a team option on Zach Collins. I expect Zach Collins to return. All right, Zach Collins was an absolute dog, and they still have Doug McDermott, Devontae Graham, Zach Collins, Kem Birch as the vets on this team. And the roster right now under contract: Keldon Johnson, which is the first year of his extension; Doug McDermott, 13.7. Devontae Graham, 12.1. Romeo Langford has a qualifying offer. I think they'll bring him back. Zach Collins has a team option. I think they'll pick that up. It's only 7.7, and he averaged 16 and 10 to close the season. Kem Birch is under contract. Devin Vassell's under contract. Jeremy Sohan, Malachi Branham, Charles Bassey, and Blake Wesley. And like I said, I think Don Barlow will be brought back. He seems like someone that they really liked, and I would not be surprised. And then they have Julian Champagnie as on a 2-way. So I think maybe they'll convert him to a training camp roster deal. But right there, if you keep all those guys, that's what? I want to say 13 dudes. Draft somebody, you're at 14, which means they're really only going to go for one free agent. And this is a team that's going to have a lot of money available in free agency. And also, if Zach Collins, his contract is not guaranteed, but if they do keep him on the roster past the NBA draft, so June 28th or June 29th, his contract increases in terms of guarantee. While Devontae Graham's contract is guaranteed this season, but the following year isn't. So if they're really... honestly, if they get Victor Wembanyama, I don't expect any trades, really. My one friend says he wouldn't be surprised if Keldon Johnson gets put on the market. What are your thoughts there? I don't think Keldon Johnson should be traded, but one of my friends suggested that. Another thing, what I find interesting is all hell, is, I think if they get Scoot or Victor, this is a team that I think they're going to keep Doug McDermott, Devontae Graham, and all the vets on this team, because they think they'll make a play and push. But if they get someone like Brandon Miller, I think it's one more year of the rebuild. But that's the difference between Scoot and Vic compared to Brandon Miller and the rest of the draft class. I love Brandon Miller, but I think Scoot and Vic have the potential to really push this team into playing contention. And free agents wise, I mean, obviously they're going to want to bring back their free agents, but players, who are going to be some guys that are going to be, available by this upcoming, offseason, which it's definitely, when you look at this, I know it's not like the 2023 free agent class. James Harden, Kyrie, Fred VanVleet. None of those guys are going to go here. Chris Middleton, Jeremy Grant, Kristaps Porzingis, Draymond Green, Kyle Kuzma. Nothing's going to happen there. Dylan Brooks, Nikola Vucevic, Jakob Poeltl, Brook Lopez, Jordan Clarkson, D'Angelo Russell, Christian Wood. I just don't see any of those guys really being guys who would go to San Antonio, nor do they fit. I see Gary Trent as being someone that San Antonio could target. But again, San Antonio's never been a huge, off-season guy. But Trey Jones is, according to Hoop Hypes, is the 26th best free agent. And this guy who averaged like 13 points, 3.5 rebounds, 6 assists. I know the three-point shot's not there, but he can be relied on to run an offense at a high level. Got a good mid-range shot, pull-up game out the pick and roll. And I think he's a good high-level backup point guard. But I think there's a bunch of people that they could be interested in, especially if they don't get someone like Victor. I mean, Naz Reid would be really cool for them. And I would not be concerned about the direction. I think they can get some players. They might go for some young guys like Darius Bazley. But yeah, I think what they got set up here is going to be good. I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. We'll do my draft soon, but yeah, I expect the roster to look very similar to next year, obviously with the new free agent. And I think what will depend on this offseason is who they get. If they get a Vic or a Scoot, this team is going to try to keep the vets, and they're going to want to go ahead and try to, take the Memphis Grizzlies approach where you have this influx of, young guys in Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, Malachi Branham, Blake Wesley, Trey Jones, Jeremy Sohan, but then you got the vets in Doug McDermott, Zach Collins, and Devontae Graham, Kevin Birch, and maybe even be led by a rookie like the Grizzlies Thunder approach, which I think would be a very, very good one for them. So let me hear your thoughts down below, guys. I'm curious. What do you guys think on this situation and why? It's definitely interesting. Also, if you made it to the end of the video, go follow me on Twitter, Instagram, add me on Snapchat. I guess I should be pumping this. A lot of my tweets go off lately, so it's Zero Sale. All my social media is Zero Sale, same as my YouTube channel. That's my name. My full name is Zero Aseo de Cook. My last name is like 3 parts: Aseo de Cook, Aseo space de space Cook, and D is DE lowercase. So super foreign, but like for like TV and stuff, I'm Zero Aseo. It's just easier to market. Like you'd be surprised. A lot of people change their names for TV.